Good afternoon, sir. I am Cadet Second Lieutenant Mark Winans, and I will be giving the service learning presentation for the 2024-2025 school year. Here is the presentation agenda. We're going to be going over the timeline, plans, just what it's about. Again, as I said, I am Cadet Second Lieutenant Mark Winans. Currently, I am serving as the battalion S6. However, during the time that I was picked to give this presentation, I was serving as a sergeant. And I was in charge and responsible for the planning of the service learning project. What is service learning? Service learning is a way to identify a need or something along the lines of a need, I forgot the word, and creating your own way to help or solve that need within a community that you are involved with.
Okay.
Past senior bowl projects, this year would make the 20th. Each one has a similar structure. It's always after the military bowl and has the same setup. We just, the day of the senior bowl, we change a few decorations to fit in the service learning project, so it's not exactly the same setup. And we create a sense of welcome and care for the community that decides to join us in this event.
Okay.
Project concepts. The military ball committee or mobile committee, we work hand in hand with them to create this event as the setup happens around the same time. Cadets on the day of the service learning project or the senior ball would arrive at 12 p.m. The event wouldn't start until 2 p.m. and it would end at around 4:30. This year we had a raffle that the seniors were able to participate in. After the event ended, we executed the teardown.
Okay. What is the okay, we'll get into it. Keep going.
Benefits. This is providing an opportunity for the Corps and the seniors to interact with each other. Again, giving that bond that there is a community and that we welcome that community. We are able to give back to those as well who have helped us in certain times, such as when they fund for the military ball.
All right.
Plan. So we always start with forming the committee for the military ball, which helps with decorations, food, communication. We then start the fundraising. We always use discount cards, and we raised about $5,000 this year. We started voting on the theme and getting all the supplies ordered. And we then started communicating with the community and MHS staff to make sure that we had the gym open, to make sure we had door prizes for the raffle, and to get that support to help out the community.
Okay.
Setup. The setup took place primarily on the 28th. It was for the military ball originally, but again, at 12 p.m. cadets would arrive on March 2nd to transition from the military ball to the senior ball. They would change out the tablecloths, sweep the floor, lay out charcuterie boards, and they would have these stations set up. One would interact with the seniors, one would hand out food, and one would introduce the seniors into the building and help them navigate to where they need to go.
Okay.
We got the word out through nursing homes, radio stations, newspapers. In order to have the gym set up, we communicated with MHS staff, clubs, sports teams to make sure that we were able to reserve the gym for this time. and we partnered with local businesses to make sure that we had the door prizes for the raffle this year. Relation to the JROTC curriculum, this is just some of the things that you were able to learn from the service learning project. You have the basics such as communicating, developing new skills. As you sort of reach up and through the levels that you see here, you start to learn a lot more responsibility. You start to plan and you start taking charge of parts of the senior ball. Again, let 1, you start off pretty basic. You learn how to wear the uniform, how to communicate. As you get up to let 2 and let 3, you start to learn how to plan, learn how to start decision making for the project, and let 4, by then you should have the ability to take charge of the service learning project. Our goals. So this is, again, just a way to invite the community, create this sense of warmth and welcome. We, again, are able to connect ourselves with the community. The cadets are able to learn some stories about the seniors. The seniors are able to learn what the Corps is about. Maybe they might get involved next year. And this also helps us in the future to kind of see what failures could have happened or did happen, and we were able to improve on that the following year.
Okay.
Project timeline. The committee was established really early in the year, sometime around September. We then started focusing on the military ball, which included getting the DJ, the decorations, and the theme voted for. Afterwards, we identified the need that our community was in need of, and when it came closer to time, we started ordering last-minute items such as drinks, food, our catering, cakes, charcuterie boards. We started getting in contact with the community, getting the word out for the Senior Bowl, again, through radios, local newspapers, and businesses. The day of March 1st, we executed the military ball. March 2nd, we had that transition from the military ball to the Senior Bowl, and afterwards we executed the teardown.
Okay.
The only big problem that I have noticed from this is we did not have a lot of cadets within the military ball, so planning was a little hard to do with just 2 or 3 cadets. It was very spotty with attendance. However, we have gotten a lot of positive feedback for this, and a lot of support from the businesses and community that we have contacted, which has helped us with fundraising. And we were also able to get the fundraising out earlier with the discount cards, as the year prior we started late and we were not able to fund the military ball and the senior ball properly.
Okay.
Here are some of the pictures that were taken. On the top left, you can see cadets dancing, line dancing with the seniors. Same with the one right next to it. On the bottom left, you can see one of the door prizes that were handed out. And on the bottom middle and bottom right, you can see the last event that we had, which was the Soul Train.
Okay.
Any questions?
All right. You want to start?
Yeah. First of all, like go back to your second slide, presentation agenda. Try to stay in the correct order. If you started at the middle, went back to the top, got back to the bottom.
You talking about him talking through it, or?
Yeah, talking through it. Just go right down the sheet. Okay, what was your position again? You said you're a sergeant.
I was a sergeant at the time that I was picked for this, yes.
What was your position in regards to the military ball, though?
In regards to the military ball, I was at the military ball or the senior ball?
You were a committee member for the mill ball, right?
Correct.
And in charge of
The senior ball, yes.
You got put in charge of that at the last minute.
Mhm.
Okay.
It'd say, I'm a sergeant, I'm Alpha Company, 1st Platoon, 3rd Squad Leader. Like that's what you're, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you say it that way and everything, then they know it's just like, you were actually not a staff member or anything working. That was your actual position in the Corps, right? You were a squad leader or a team leader?
Team leader, correct.
Correct.
What platoon?
2nd platoon.
Okay.
All right. Few of these things, the project concept, they can't stay in the order. Saying how your cadets did the tear down, then the last bullet statement is senior citizens participated in the raffle with door prizes being donated. So that was after we tore down?
No.
No. Another thing, in reference to the door prizes and the businesses, who provided the prizes?
We contacted just,
Who? Not the person contacting them, what business provided the door prizes?
we had local nursing homes, we had the Coles County Health Department, we had Fujiyama, Steak and Shake, Jersey
Right.
Mike's.
That's what, should have a slide on there, who your donation people. So we can see how many people, when you say people in the community, and we only have like 2 donators, it's like, that's not a lot of people. But just so you see that in there. Give an exact date when you started the committee. There is a sheet thing where you're supposed to keep track of every committee date. I know you can't say it's like, but understand you gotta say a date, sometime in September. When did we start school? Sometime in August, or did we start on August 17th? So these are the dates we have it, right? So that way, and like, what's the first thing you guys all do? Part of the very first meeting, you go out there and you got somebody who's in charge and you designate who are your other committee leaders, but there's, what certain things you supposed to bring to the core within like the first month?
for the military ball?
They vote on stuff.
For the military and senior ball, yes.
You remember what we voted on?
Stuff.
The theme?
Yeah.
Theme,
Silver screen,
the
correct.
food, stuff like that. And also, you start on the invitations, cause they're so important to get out.
So all this being said, you're overall in charge of the mill ball this coming year,
Mhm.
right? As the S6. So as we give you these little tips and pointers and corrections right here, these are things that you can do to help for next year's SLP, right? So having, if it didn't happen this year, or you don't know where it is because you weren't in charge, you weren't the one who was bringing it all together, this next year you'll have that sheet, right? So the next person briefing this SLP will have it a little easier, right?
Like the Gantt chart,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you the code and what you.
Yeah, and you just mark a date down for every time you check off a block, mark the date down. Then it makes it super easy to go back and find any date that anybody wants, right? Hey, when did we do this? Oh, it's right here on the chart. Okay.
As far as the senior ball setup, it's like, we use the same decorations and all. So the setup is not as, like, part of the mill ball and senior ball setup is those days. But did we see pictures of what we set up for the senior ball?
For the senior ball?
Yeah, when we set up for the senior ball, before, during, and after, do you have pictures of us setting up?
We had a photo during.
But that's not before, during, and after.
Yeah. So a lot of these slides would be helped with like a picture, right?
Yeah.
Like a couple lines, words like, hey, we would come the next day after the mill ball and start cleaning up and show up and have a picture. And again, this is something for you next year to think about too, right? For what pictures we need. But a picture of the aftermath of the mill ball, right? And then a picture of it set up for the senior ball. That that's worth way more than you talking about it, right? So you can have those and have like a bullet point, one or two bullet points, and then that picture will help this come across a lot better, right?
Because if you had a picture like when we first walked in and the next day, how tables look and stuff all over the place.
Mhm.
And you can say, okay, now we have to set up, this is how it looked at the military ball. This is how it looks for it, this is how it looks during it, and afterwards, when you got pictures of cadets tearing down. And I know there was somebody taking pictures that was doing the tear down. So, that one you got on there. Also, the 3 groups, they said how did they rotate? How often did they rotate?
I believe it was every 30 minutes they would rotate.
Okay. That's like, when you have it here, this was the setup plan and the operations, how it was gonna go. We identified 3 OICs, and they took the people and everything. That was our 7 prizes there. Exact date. The only last thing I say is like, remember Guy Parkinson? Guy Parkinson had a thing, he said, I'm like 60 odd sometimes. You know what you didn't have a crutch word, you know what you had? Various forms of 10 times.
And, yeah, you did, and that's partially, you haven't had as many rehearsals this time as you did before the other. You did a better job, I don't remember him doing that when we did this last time. I think this is probably due to the lesser amount of rehearsals that we did for this, which can absolutely help too. All right, so I got some questions. So this presentation focused pretty narrowly on like how it happened. I want to ask you a couple of higher level questions, and these are like opinion questions, right? So what do you think the goals of, and this can be for anybody too, I'll ask you first, but if anybody has input from the staff, what is the goal of the service learning project? What are we trying to do with the service learning project?
We're trying to make sure that the community feels like they can be accepted somewhere, and to make sure that they have support in some way, because there are some people who may not, there are some people that may show up and they don't have a lot of people to talk to, but when they come to the core, the event, and they talk with the core, they then feel that they are connecting with somebody that they may have not been able to in the past couple months or maybe years.
Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to add? It's really about giving back to the community, right? So putting on an event like this is giving back to the community. This isn't exactly like a Meals on Wheels or something like that, but it is a fun event for, like you're saying, people in the community, to show that we're part of the community too, right? Okay. Do you think we accomplished that? Did we give them a place that was fun and they could interact with cadets?
Absolutely. I mean, most of them were pretty active. I believe there were 1 or 2 that weren't so much, but that's mainly because they were not able to. The rest of them were out line dancing, talking with cadets. Cadets would go up to them, interact. So I would definitely say that we did give back in some way.
All right, and one indication is usually how many people we have who start calling and asking about this event prior to it happening each year. Okay. How do you think, okay, so that's how it sort of helps the community, how it interacts with the community. How do you think this helps cadets? Or what do you think it teaches cadets?
Definitely how to get out of your comfort zone. I will say that.
In what way?
To talk to strangers. I know that sounds bad, but it's a way to talk to people that you're not comfortable.
Okay.
You not seem comfortable, because a lot of cadets, when they enter the Corps, they may not be as open as they are after this event or as they move on into the Corps.
Okay. All right, Birch, what do you think? What do you think this provides to cadets?
It helps cadets learn how to serve their community and give back.
Okay. All right. Okay, what teamwork is required to do this, to pull off this event? So you said sort of like, hey, this is the stuff that we did. But what sort of things require teamwork? What sort of things require leadership? What specific events?
Some, like with the setup or just the event?
The whole thing, anything.
There it is.
In terms of teamwork, for like the setup, for example, you have to have one. You know, when we were setting up the lights, you have to have one of the ladders hanging them up. You have to have a cadet with the lights handing them. You know, leadership. For example, light bulb broke, they get a new one. In the event, the teamwork definitely happens throughout. I've said this a million times, but interacting with the seniors, because in one of the photos, like you see there, line dancing, that's not just something that one cadet and a senior can just do. I mean, it could be, but it's a lot better when you have that interaction together. And in terms of leadership, you had certain cadets tasked with those stations that I mentioned, and during the teardown, you had, again, they were in charge of what to tear down exactly, whether it be the decorations, food, tables.
Okay. All right. Question for now BC last year or this year's XO for the event. All right. So leadership. What parts of this event or planning for this and the mill ball together, right? Where were some of our examples of good leadership, and where did we fall flat a little bit? Where do we need to focus next year? It could be part of the setup, it could be part of execution, it could be planning. But as the XO, from your perspective this past year, where do we need to focus our efforts for next year?
Definitely setting up was not too smooth. Smooth. Sorry, long
Okay.
day. So we had a lot of people lose things, or they were instantly angry, or if you were helping people and you were in charge of these 3 people, another leader would randomly come up, hey, I need this person, no questions asked, and walk away with them. A lot of butting heads, a lot of stuff that didn't need to happen.
Okay. How do we solve that for next year from a staff perspective or from a command perspective?
Make sure people have stick to their designated leaders. Make sure there's always somebody looking out for equipment so it doesn't go missing. Not just handing it off to the next person and hoping it gets back. Also making sure the leaders can lead together but separately at the same time. So mainly just making sure the leaders know how to lead properly.
Okay.
What do you think the biggest thing that could help Mark out through this whole process?
Definitely more people.
What kind of people?
People who would put in the same effort he did, not just him.
I can get 100 freshmen to do that, but what grade level he is? He's a what?
He's
Freshman.
Yeah.
How many mill balls he's been to?
0.
So, what would you say would help him the most?
People from last year who played football.
Upperclassmen, been to the ball, know what's going on, and all this other good stuff.
Yeah, that was a
That's
major
the first step.
deficiency, not having any upperclassmen in the mill ball committee, because pretty much nobody in the mill ball committee had ever been to a mill ball, minus Parker, who had been to one, right? So that's something that would help a lot. Okay. All right, so LET 1. So you've only had 1 year of LET experience. Were there any classes specifically in the LET curriculum that helped you with this process? Or was it all OJT, on the job training?
Like classes within my grade, or
For the classes that you receive, Let One, the different leadership and education training, the book that we did. So this semester it was mostly first aid map reading, which didn't really help with millball or service learning project. But can you think of any classes from last semester that would help out beyond just like this is how you wear the uniform?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. Most of those classes, again, the reason why we need upperclassmen in the millball committee is upperclassmen. You get some maybe sophomore year, but really juniors and seniors get the classes for how to prepare and plan and execute like an operation like this, right? Okay. All right, and then let's do real quick, starting with you, Winans. What's one thing? So you already said more people in the millball committee for next year.
Correct.
What is one thing other than that you think would help make a better service learning project for next year?
I would say just what Jackson said earlier, leaders being able to lead properly, because I also noticed a lot of anger and tension between people and just taking cadets to do whatever they needed to do. Instead of like the leader taking the cadet to do the leader's job, even though they were already designated to that leader.
Okay. All right, so clear lines of sort of this person does this and has these people, this person does this and has these people. Okay. All right, he's still yours. Now I'm going to ask you for a different one. What's something that we can improve for next year?
What Mark said no. Our time was pretty good. We were on schedule, but one thing we would need to better is when getting the door prizes.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get too many separate options. It was kind of the same baskets or same type of discount for the same place. There was like 3 of the same Fujiyama gift cards. Definitely a different variety of prizes.
Okay. How do we do that? How do we get more different prizes?
Definitely outsourcing more. So we kept going to the same places that we did for like getting the discount cards as well. So they already gave, so they won't want to give too much more. If we could go to different places than we already went to, that would have got a different variety than just the same 2 baskets and the same type of cards.
Okay. Bert.
I think one thing that kind of stalls the project is cadet cooperation.
In what way?
So like focusing on actually connecting with the seniors and like trying to talk to them.
Okay.
Because you see like for the one shift where they go around the tables, a lot of cadets will try and shy away or just sit at their phone and not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
The food group, some will just sit on the tables, let everybody else bring out the boards and punch. Some people at the door will just hold the door and kind of go.
Okay. How do we solve that for next time?
Maybe we could help people overcome that. I'm not sure. Maybe we could do a class or something on talking.
Well, I mean, you guys do get a little bit of classes, like especially again, upperclassmen get classes on presenting, and some underclassmen get chances to present. Okay, I'd say again that's a leadership thing, right? So the leaders of those individual groups have to be pushing those people, right? If you are in charge of that group, and then some of your cadets are not interacting, or they're hiding behind a table for too long, that's on you, right? And so as part of that, as leaders, especially leaders of an organization, you can't be too occupied, right? You can't be the one who's talking to everybody. You can a little bit, but you have to be able to step back and say, hey, are all the people, all the cadets that are working for me, are they doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? And then correcting that if it needs to be corrected. All right. Okay, win it.
So I would also mention like how you guys mentioned earlier about like us like juniors and seniors not helping out, especially like with Mark, with him being a freshman.
For planning, you're
For
talking
planning,
about?
yeah. I really wish we would have done that because it could have gone so much smoother, and we would have known more in depth like what's also going on. Even though we've been to like a lot of mill balls or senior balls and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's also good to know like more information than what you already know.
Okay.
To
Well, guess
help
what?
them.
Who's in charge of planning for this next year?
Me.
Yeah. All right. So you can make that change, right? And you're in charge of him specifically, right? Okay. Okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I think it, your job as the XO is like somewhat what Jackson was doing last year. It's like, when you have your staff meetings and everything, I don't care that they don't like it every week, from the beginning of the school year to showtime. Status, 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 status. Where you stand now, what's the next thing you need? More people, then you can make the thing to the core. I think the major was put out a long time about the forms sitting on that desk for people to go out and get donations. And it wasn't until like the last week, you guys were out getting donations. Cause it's like I was putting them together on the day of the thing, so it's just like, that stuff, timelines you gotta have, but there's, if someone's in charge of the thing, as we said, that's the reason why we designed it the way it is now. But we're not attacking you, it's just like, hey, these are the things that gotta get done. If you wanna make it easy on yourself, instead of waiting till that last week, do everything you have, do it this week, this week, this week.
We got to come out of the gate with a plan, right? With a planning timeline. What we need to accomplish by when, and then we have to be ruthless and keep ourselves to that timeline.
Be the same for any operation you guys do here. Come out the gate. Don't wait for someone to open it up. Start it. It's getting better, but these are the things. We're not personally attacking. It's like, it's gotta get done, or me and him are doing it. So, like I said, I help you guys out in any way I can, but I don't wanna be the only one doing it. Cause then that's when I get aggravated. That's all I got.
Okay. All right. Just remember, you've got 2 infantry guys for AI and SAI. Mission comes first, and that's what right. The cadets come second, right? But we have to accomplish the mission. So sometimes you got to power through feelings, and you have to sort things out. You might have personality conflicts. You have to be able to suppress that to accomplish the mission. Okay? All right.
Yeah, because no matter where you go to work at, you're gonna face the same thing.